Hello, my name is Haley Carlson, and this is my introductory video, Module 1 for EDL856 School and Community Relations. So like I said, my name is Haley. I am from Manhattan, Kansas, born and raised. I still live here. I have been married for a full week and a half. We got married on May 23rd. My husband's name is Ben, and I attached a little picture down here at the bottom with our officiant. I graduated from Kansas State University with my bachelor's degree in secondary education in 2016. I got an emphasis in English language arts, so I am an English teacher at the high school. I'm also a Special Olympics coach. I've coached basketball, track, cheerleading, volleyball. That's one of my favorite things. I love to do that. I teach at Manhattan High School in Manhattan, Kansas. I started out in 9th grade English, so I taught for 3 years at our 9th grade building, and then I moved up to our main campus, and now I teach 11th grade English and creative writing. In addition to being a teacher, I'm also on the advisory committee. I am one of the leaders for building the 11th grade curriculum for advisory, and then I'm also a Tribe Spirit Club sponsor, which kind of includes a lot of different things, but that is like homecoming and pep rallies and spirit days and fundraisers and school community service projects, that sort of thing is a lot of what we do. And then in the picture, our officiant is actually my principal, my boss, the guy that inspired me to get my admin degree. So kind of special that he was the one that stepped up and was willing to get ordained online to marry us. So kind of leading into community and school relations with communication, some communication strategies that I use every day in my school life, starting with the ones that I used most. So before we were out, after spring break, oral and face-to-face communication was what I used the most. In the midst of this pandemic, that's kind of not the case anymore, but thinking when we are in school, when we are in the building, oral face-to-face communication is definitely at the top. Email is probably the next one. The one that is used most frequently is my school email. Communication between students, other teachers, parents, all of that. Phone communication and texting is probably the next one for me. We also our school district pays for Infinite Campus, which is like our grading system. And there is a messaging aspect or component of that to where I can send messages to students, I can send messages to parents, which I really like, and I use that weekly. We also pay for Canvas, which is how students access their work online. I can post resources there. If parents are signed up to view their student, they can see what I put on Canvas, but that one is mainly for communicating with students directly. In the midst of the pandemic, Zoom is definitely another one that has become super prevalent in my everyday life. I use Zoom a lot for meetings with students, meetings with colleagues, different kinds of things with that. Social media, I have a school Twitter, Instagram, and a Facebook page for my club that I run. So social media has been really helpful in communicating with students because they are always on it. So it's easy to get their attention in that aspect. And then very, very few times have I written something. I did send every student that I had this year a handwritten note. So it was like 150 handwritten notes, which was a lot. So sending that many letters was a lot. And I normally just stick to phone calls or emails when it comes to communication. I don't send physical things home very often. So, importance of introductions. I didn't realize that I wasn't good at introducing myself until I read those 3 articles, which was kind of funny to realize. And so I've toyed around with how to introduce myself that still felt genuine and organic, I guess. So with introductions, I really like the element of storytelling. I love when people are confident, but I think respect is also part of that. I don't want someone to confidently introduce themselves, but also to be really arrogant and rude with it. So I think that respect is key for introductions. Genuine first impressions, so maintaining that respect, being genuine in introducing yourself is incredibly important. And then being engaging, finding different ways to be engaging, which I think for educators a lot of times is storytelling and going a little bit further with that. Some different methods that I really liked. So like I mentioned, the storytelling. I like the idea of being vulnerable and really putting yourself out there, expressing things beyond just your title, because you are more than your job. And so I liked that aspect of vulnerability. I think as an educator and as a future leader, it would be important to kind of express your why in your introduction so that people truly understand you and where you are coming from and what is most important to you, what you value, what your goals are. Within that, being open, being honest, being approachable, being respectful and genuine. I had a principal when I was in high school. Our head principal, I think I maybe saw him twice, and every single time I saw him, I was so scared of him. And I think that being approachable and genuine and present in your introductions is really important, that you are just available to people. So some policies for communicating. There aren't any clear guidelines or expectations for high school communication. I looked it up on our district website for USD 383, and they have elementary school guidelines, which are really kind of for the parents, because there's a lot more parent communication with that, I suppose. But there wasn't anything explicit or public when it came to the high school communication or even secondary communication guidelines. So I will talk about what I do in my classroom and what I really like, that makes me feel connected to people. So each week, I choose 4 to 5 students and parents, and I send them a message about something that is non-academic. So if I saw their kid pick up some trash, I will call home and tell them that, or send an email. Or if, their kid really made me laugh this week, I'll send a message home, and I try to make it a different student each week, and I try to send it to both the student and the parent so that they both know that they are seen and valued and appreciated. And that has been one of the best relationship builders for me in my classroom, is choosing those 4 to 5 students each week. I also try to stay available on email, Infinite Campus, and Canvas for contact. I know that most people prefer to send an email or a digital message, and so I always try to check that. I check it multiple times throughout the day. It comes to my phone, which is bad sometimes, but I check it on the weekends too. I just think it's important to be available to students when I can be. And then weekly Friday messages, I send those through Infinite Campus because they go to both students and their parents or guardians. So the Friday message is really just a weekly update. What did we do this week? What are we doing next week? What other things do I need to keep track of? Important dates, different things like that. So that sends out to my parents and my students every Friday. It's just a happy Friday, a review of the week, and then a look at the next week. And lastly, I contact parents and guardians when students reach 3 or more unexcused tardies, which now that I think about it, that is the only policy that our high school has, and that's brand new this year. We just started doing that. When a student in your class hits more than 3 unexcused tardies, you contact home for like every second or third unexcused tardy. So I think it's like 3, 5, 7 is when you contact home. So, but that policy isn't published anywhere publicly. So that's just kind of what I do to keep in communication with my students and my parents, my guardians, to make sure that they are kept in the loop. I am really excited for this class. Thank you so much for watching. I can't wait to watch your video as well. Thank you. Bye.